everybody. My name is Star Raptor, and welcome to the channel. This is my spoilers review for Superman 2025, written and directed by James Gunn. Before we get into this review, I do have one disclaimer. I did miss the first 20 or 25 minutes of this movie. It started exactly at 7. I'm used to Regal Cinema theaters starting the movies like 25, 30 minutes after that said time because of all the trailers. But since this was a prime early viewing, I guess they started exactly on time. Unfortunately for me, I will plan on going back and seeing this movie. But, still, this is over a 2-hour long movie. I've seen most of this movie, and I've come away pretty confident on giving this thing a kind of a roundabout review and a little bit of a score as well. I'll save that for the end, of course. But yeah, what I will say is James Gunn pulled it off. This is the first movie of the new DCU that Peter Safran and James Gunn have started. Technically, Creature Commandos Season 1 and Peacemaker's kind of thrown in there in the mix. But this is our first big theatrical release of what we can expect of the caliber of a DC Studios, right? So getting into it, obviously, Superman. How is a Superman, right? David Cornsweet, let me tell you, I've not seen all the different iterations of Superman. I mainly know about Henry Cavill, but he is very, very different from Henry Cavill. I like seeing the Superman as more human at times. Like, he raises his voice. He has these little bit of I guess you can call them tantrums in a way. Like, even though he's an alien from Krypton, he has learned so much about the humans around him, and he cares. He really cares about not just humans, as we see in this, but like living things as well. But you see those moments where Superman is saving people in the midst of crisis. He is there to shield the humans and even animals at certain points and sequences in these big action romps. And there's a level of emotional rot with him, emotional kind of resonance when it comes down to relationships with him and Rachel Brosnahan's Lois Lane. Love seeing that relationship and the chemistry between these two characters, and what really sings there, as well as the chemistry between him and his actual parents from Kansas, right? That find him as a kid. So I do appreciate that. Yeah, we've seen the origin story for Superman like 3 or 4 times at this point in the theaters. So it is great to see James Gunn kind of do a truncated version of like just this in an interview, like saying the things we already know about how he got there, right? But yeah, I absolutely love the portrayal, the prowess, the stature of David Cornsweet is very, very mighty, very Superman, great physique, great action sequences, and he's got that charm about him that really just gives you that charisma, and that's what we're looking for from the leader of the Justice League. Eventually, we'll get a Justice League again, and more on that in a moment. But yeah, going to Rachel Brosnahan as Lois Lane. Just a great representation of a character that is not a damsel in distress. Like, she is out there on the front lines doing what she can to save what she loves. And that's something that kind of stunned me right off the get-go, is knowing that she knows who Clark Kent is. They are actually going out for like 3 months at this point. So it is nice to see that she can stand on her own 2 feet and go on adventures that make sense. And then the last one of this trifecta of characters is Lex Luthor, played by Nicholas Hoult. And oh my goodness, I love this representation of the character, of this guy that has such a prejudice against Superman that he's willing to basically upend the entire Earth to just knock him down a peg. And it's not just all talk, he walks the walk. I mean, he straight up executes somebody in front of Superman. Like, this guy gets down to business. He wins as a villain for a certain point of this movie, which I love to see that. I love to see the stakes. I like to see the danger at which we find our characters like Superman, and like Lex Luthor is a formidable foe for Superman here. And I absolutely love seeing the acting chops of Nicholas Hoult just chewing up the scenery here. And I hope that this is not the last time we see Lex Luthor and good old Luthor Corps, not Lex Corps, Luthor Corps in this universe here. Also, how could we talk about this movie without Krypto? Just this cute little super dog with the cape, just, getting in there for the laughs and really helping lighten up the tone in a rather like a good setting, kind of like all over with the tone, right? Like, we are having those moments of darkness, like executions and moments of absolute distraught among armies and countries and things of that big nature. But then we're getting to see this dog, and it's just, when it comes down to it, just a fluffy little creature will put a smile on your face, and he has some really shining bright moments in my eyes. The Justice Gang. I love seeing Mr. Terrific take such a large role in the story as somebody who really liked the CW show Legends of Tomorrow. And this Mr. Terrific really shines. I love the technology of the T-Spheres flying around and all that. Hawk Girl is great. I would have loved to see more of her. Isabella Merced coming off of season 2 of The Last of Us. Really like the actor. But then getting to see her in the suit, just knocking around bad guys, it's just really fun. And then of course Nathan Fillion as Guy Gardner. Kind of our first time of really getting a Green Lantern besides the crappy one that came out with Ryan Reynolds. This is a pretty cool representation of a different kind of Green Lantern. We're not talking about Hal Jordan. We're talking about this character that is a little rough around the edges, that's got the bowl cut, that is just this. He's got so much personality. A little bit of an antagonist to Superman, but not really. And just going down to, what is this character? Like, what is his overall goal? And getting down to the plot, like the whole plot of the story is great, right? You have Superman, who's pretty much invincible. So what does Lex Luthor do? He tries to discredit Superman to get the whole world to turn against him, right? So I really liked the plot overall of, like, okay, Superman has to figure out, like, how can he both save the world and kind of clear his name at the same time. His family, his friends, they're all at stake here. If you can't kill Superman, well, then you kill those he cares about around him. That's going to make him traumatized and depressed, and you don't want to have that in a Superman, right? So really like that overall story, overall plot. Surrounding that, the crazy comic booky nature of this movie. When I tell you this is probably the most comic booky movie I've ever seen, I know that's saying a lot. I've seen a lot of comic book movies over the last decade or so, guys, but this one really nails it. I mean, we're talking about pocket universes. We're talking about just aliens out and about. And it just, there's like a lot of terminology and vocabulary that is probably going to fly over a lot of the mainstream casual audience that's just there to have a good time. But for those of us that read these things, like I read All-Star Superman, knowing a little bit about the backstory of some of these characters and all, really, I really felt enriched. I really felt rewarded to be so esteemed in this source material that when it was represented on the screen as it was, man, it was glorious. And like the wider scope of the DC universe, I appreciate that James Gunn really swung for the fences and said, hey, like, we're going to open up the doors on this entire new era of DC. And that's my one little gripe about this movie is, like, yeah, maybe for the general audiences that don't know these characters, it could be a bit overwhelming. I mean, we got the Daily Planet crew of all those characters, Cat Grant and Jimmy Olsen. And then you also have everybody with the Justice Gang, but then you have Lex Luthor's people like the Engineer and Ultraman, but there's like, you know, the Clark Kent and his family, like there's so many characters thrown in the mix here, but I don't know if there was really any other way you could have done it, because all these characters are important for the overall story of this here. We got to see the wider scope of how Lex Luthor is affecting the entire world. This is all backed up by amazing cinematography. I mean, if you're a fan of Guardians of the Galaxy, it's got that similar flair, right? We got to see those 360 shots of just crazy no cuts between action sequences of CGI, and just the T-Sphere scene really stuck with me there with Lois Lane stuck in that bubble as we have Mr. Terrific just like taking out like 30 different guards at once. The stuff in the pocket universe with the black hole, the thing you see in the trailer, the big kaiju thing, and you got the Justice Gang fighting it. Like, there's so many amazing sequences that I can't wait to see the movie just to watch those again, because they look incredible. And this is all backed by a fantastic score. And I was very interested about this because James Gunn, he puts a stamp on things. He usually has a really, really awesome mix of just the different rock songs from throughout the ages. Like you look at Guardians of the Galaxy, got a lot of that 70s rock, really, really popular once again. And then you got the Suicide Squad, which is also filled to the brim with really good pop music. And then you get this one. This is really just like a traditional superhero, big orchestra. There's like maybe 4 or 5 like actual tracks in here from like bands. And the funny part is they actually make up a couple bands because they talk about punk rock in this movie here. Lois thinks she's cooler than Clark Kent based on what he listens to. So I love that they actually concocted like fresh new punk rock songs by some legends of the rock that we all know and love. So yeah, overall the orchestra was absolutely great. I'll tell you guys, unless there was something really, really bad that happened in the first 20 minutes that completely side railed this story, right now I'm sitting at a 9 out of 10 for Superman 2025. I haven't felt this kind of hype and this kind of buzz I was about to say from a Marvel movie, from a comic book movie. We're just so used to saying Marvel movies are better than DC, and I gotta say, Fantastic Four is coming out in about 2 weeks. They have some seriously steep competition with our first entry in the DC universe. I think James Gunn had a lot riding on this, right? If this doesn't work, how does Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow feel? How does the Lanterns feel? How does Peacemaker Season 2 do? Like, this is off to such a great start. I could see really good word of mouth coming around with this one. And that final scene of this movie before the 2 post-credit scenes, it really got me like a little bit choked up, I gotta say. Like this, just him like recovering Superman, watching the images of his family, him growing up with the Kents on there in Kansas on the farm. Like when it all comes down to it, there's a really strong message in this movie, and it's not like how like who brought you up. Essentially, it's like what you did, your own power. You have the choice to build your own story, and it's not up to other people and their opinions on the matter to really kind of categorize you. That doesn't matter. What you say or what you do speaks louder than words. Your actual actions speak louder than words. So really enjoyed the message of hope as we expect from Superman. And this feels very, very different from Man of Steel. If you're curious, this feels very different. It's like almost like the polar opposite. You got the bright, sunny skies of Metropolis. You have the humor, and then you have some really dark moments as well. Don't get me wrong. There are some very big dark moments like executions and different things with armies invaded other countries and everything. It gets pretty heavy, but overall, this is a high recommendation, and I hope you enjoyed this review for Superman. What'd you think? Are you going to check this out opening weekend? Let me know in the comment section down below. For more on DC and more, you're already in the right place. I have a review for Creature Commandos as well on the channel. Thanks for watching, and bye-bye.